Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're joining us from. We are here to solve another CTF, another Wizer CTF, and we have a very interesting one today with a lot of key takeaways. You know what? I don't know if a lot, but very important ones, I think.
Yep.
Um, yeah, with that said, let's just get into it, and I'll hand over the mic to Itzik.
Thank you, Gabby. So, hi everyone. Today is a pretty cool one, I'd say. Not too difficult, but also, as Gabby said, bears a few important key takeaways. So, what do you need to do? There's a message app, and the code that you're seeing here is only partial. What you see is one Next.js code which shows the message, or sorry, adds the message. Okay, so there's a UI that if you take, this URL here views and you put it here and you say add message, right? Then you get this UI, right? This UI allows you to put first name, last name, and then a message, right? You can put as long as message as you want, okay? And then, so this is the piece of code here for add message. When you hit add, what it does, as you can see here, it DOM purifies and sanitizes the text of the message. And why is that? Because show message, and that's the second part that is here, the front end of show message right down here, actually takes everything and shows it. And for the message to be a rich message, the developer chose to use inner HTML, which we know is dangerous. But they sanitized it, okay? So they want to make sure that this value here, the message, is not containing any malicious HTML. And hence, they agreed that they could use inner HTML. That's pretty much it. There's not a lot more to it. However, one thing I will note is when you scroll up to the first one, the code for the API add message is not here, but it's very clear that it's being used, right? When you hit save on this UI, when you hit save here, it goes and it actually posts a message to another API add message, and that's suspicious. So let's, Gabby, maybe go into solving it, right?
Yeah, so basically we have your typical client server. What we're looking at is the front end part. We have a backend that we don't have the source code for it, which is common in, for attackers. They actually don't even see sometimes, I would say most of the times, they don't even see the front end. But in
Mhm.
this case, we only see the front end. And yeah, let's see what
Yeah.
happens now.
So we're guessing as an attacker, what I would do, I would try to put, and sanitize information straight into the API. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So if you stop sharing and share Postman, because that's the right tool for the job. There are multiple other tools that you can use, but this is definitely let me select the right one. Where is it? And here it is. So what you see here is I already pre-made, a message that is malicious or I'm trying to save. So I'm putting here first name Itzik, last name Spitzen, and the message, I'm tricking it. I'm saying the message is image source X and on error alert Wizer. Okay. So when I'm doing this, what I'm saying, if this message is able to save this way, okay, then I'm expecting the inner HTML to show that message and cause the alert. Make sense so far?
Yeah. So if you were to do this through the client, it wouldn't work, right? Because it is sanitized. So the client side developer actually thought about something like that
Mm-hmm.
and protected the code. But what you're doing
Exactly.
right now is bypassing it using Postman and going directly to the backend.
Right, right, right. If I took that data, not as an API, but took that data, it's expected with this message through the UI, as you said, it's sanitized. Don't purify will stop us. No problem. Okay. So I'm hitting send here, and the API is meant to return to me a GUI UUID. This unique ID is the unique ID of the message. So what I want to do right now is I want to stop that share, and I'm going to take that ID and go back to Wizer. So window, okay, share that back again. And here, okay, the UI that I need to be attacked is show message, because that's where the XSS is, I'm hoping, will happen, right? So before I do that, I would actually take that and I would actually go in here into show message. Okay. And then message ID equals what I have here. Okay. And I'm expecting it to show an alert. Boom. So what happened here? Got from the database the string. The string included the inner HTML that was malicious with the Wizer alert, and it popped.
So
So,
we don't see the alert, I think, because of the way this is
oh yeah, yeah,
sharing.
yeah. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to share the. Yeah, you're not seeing the alert, but let me present the entire screen so that you can see it. You'll trust me that it's okay. You should be able to see it now.
Yes, now we can see it.
Great. Okay.
Okay, so just for to wrap things up about this part, this is a stored XSS, right?
Yep.
So if we go back and we think what happened, we couldn't make the XSS work through the client because the client was protected. So we took our XSS and using the API, we stored it in a database.
Exactly.
Then, in order to make this XSS actually execute, we are retrieving it from the database by displaying the message, the ID of the message that is associated with that XSS. So what we're seeing right now, this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is a stored XSS, even though it doesn't actually look from the URL. We think about XSS, usually we think about characters and all type of stuff. So this is a stored XSS, and now we are reflecting it.
So yeah, it's called, the correct name is stored DOM-Based XSS. There are multiple types. This is a stored DOM-Based XSS. Definitely correct.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I think we should go through some takeaways, because I think this is an interesting one from multiple angles, from process and code perspective. Okay, so
but before that, I want to give people some idea of like how dangerous this is. So if I'm an attacker, for example, and I want to steal everybody's username, everybody's I don't know, session cookie or anything like that, and I'm able in a forum, in a blog post, anywhere that is public, if I'm able to create a blog post or a comment on a message that has something like this, has an XSS, anyone that will basically have access to that comment, which is, let's say in social media, all of us have, usually if it's a public comment, all of us have access. So you're just accessing a public comment, you're reading a comment, and in the back end, and then behind the scene, somebody's stealing your session ID and basically taking over your account, correct?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if it's
so this is more than we usually think about XSS, where I will send somebody a link, they will click on it, and then we will be able to grab their token. Here with a stored XSS, anybody that just visiting that page, not clicking on anything particular, they're just looking at a post and reading the comments, right? If there's a stored XSS, everyone that has the ability to read that comment potentially is impacted. So you do it once and impact tons of people. So stored XSS, in my opinion, is one of the actually more dangerous type of XSS.
It's definitely more dangerous because you can show it without any, it can be shown by default in a forum and in correspondence, back and forth messages, without having, or not even messages, other things as well. As long as you're able to inject that malicious HTML, any user can bump into it when they go to this page.
It can be an image, like an image profile. It could be, and this bypasses, because when we look at the payload, which you're showing right now, how to activate it, no application firewall will stop this, right? This is
absolutely,
it's a proper URL calling for a specific message ID. So guys, no application firewall will protect you against displaying a stored XSS.
That is definitely correct.
Okay. Okay, sorry for that,
no worries.
all of that, but I'll let you continue now.
No worries. So, in terms of takeaways, what are the takeaways that we have? And they also appear here. If you scroll down, you can see the takeaways here. But let me kind of like walk you through it, specifically. So, first of all, front end sanitization is not enough because of stored DOM base and other types of XSS. You have to make sure that that gets into your database is sanitized. It's not enough to do it in the front end. You have to also, on the API endpoints, identify those more dangerous kind of like inputs and sanitize them as a method without even knowing what's on the front end. So that's first. Secondly, you always need to make sure that you also encode the output. So sanitizing the input is one thing we talk a lot about. What we're not talking about, and specifically for XSS, which is super common because it's so hard to get and so hard to get right, that if you sanitize, not sanitize, in this case, it's encode the output, you don't allow anything malicious to be printed under inner HTML or something as dangerous as that. So encoding the output is definitely one of the important things that you need to be thinking about as a supplement or as a complementary approach to sanitizing the inputs. And then lastly, and not less important, it's more related to the process. We're typically working in a team. So I'm a front-end developer. I developed the front end. I was great here. If I was the developer here, I actually added sanitization. From my point of view, I've done my job. But I don't know if the server has done their job. Like the backend developers never thought about it. Maybe they don't even know that this data needs to be sanitized because they don't know that I'm using inner HTML. So it's really important to tighten that connection and have communications and shared understanding between the teams, and to, as a team, think about the risks and not and only as individuals. Each and every individual should always think about their unit of code, how they protect it, but it's not enough. You should always think about the holistic view of the system and make sure that the other parts that maybe are not developed by you are being secured as well.
So where exactly does this collaboration happen? So you ran big R&D teams. Does it happen in the design stage? Does it happen talk to me about when exactly do we need to consider this and in the cycle of the development?
Absolutely, a great point. So first of all, as we're shifting left, and people probably know that term, if you don't, it's like we're trying to do things as early as possible. So the earliest possible is design time. In design, you should also already say, like in design time, that the message could have richness to it, right? Because the designer, whoever, the product guy who wrote the design already knows that there should be a rich text. That should already bring an alert up. And people should think about, okay, how do we protect that? So the front-end developer knew that because they created the inner HTML part. So they knew that they needed to sanitize. The backend should be in this process as well. So design time is the first step. However, throughout the process, changes happen throughout the process. And it's not necessarily true that the designs are accurate and always include all the details and all the scenarios. Then throughout the cycles and the sprint iterations and the daily meetings and so forth, we should always make sure that we update each other. Here is what I've done as the front-end developer. Make sure you guys also sanitize it, and so on and so forth. So it should happen continuously, but the earliest time is design time, and that's where it should happen originally.
Yeah. So, and again, another message here is code scanners, it's hard for code scanners to find this type of stuff. That's why security culture is so important. And when my suggestion is, when we're shifting left, start at the hiring process. When you're hiring developers, if you want security DNA in your team, you have to have people that actually have some experience. Request to have experience in understanding OWASP 10. You can have them do CTFs like this if you want to qualify, if they actually understand security. But don't think about, shift left only as a design. I would go like, it really depends on who you hire. If you hire people that don't have that in their DNA, then it's going to be very hard requesting that. Having said that, you still have to push towards that, your existing team. That's why secure coding is so important. That's why practicing CTF, showing them like real life examples of what we mean, because a lot of developers don't think like attackers. They think like defenders, and they think like builders, I would say, not even defenders. So they don't understand the mindset of an attacker. So the CTFs, this one is a public one, correct? So we have this is part of our. So we have for those of you who are watching this for the first time and they hear about Wizer CTF for the first time, we have a whole community and a free CTF platform that you can invite your team to play around. So this is what it looks like. So if you sign up, again, this is all free. If you sign up, every week we release, every other week we release a new one and we retire an old one. So we're now talking about a retire challenge, obviously. But if we go to the latest one, you can see that there are 6 challenges that are still active, and we will cover them later. We will talk about them once they retire. But this is such a great way for you to either validate that the people you hire have some understanding of cybersecurity, and also to help build that security mindset and security culture in a gamified way.
Yep.
So yeah,
2 more points.
Yeah.
One, there's also a community of people you can chat with. So if you click that button, you know, I don't know why it's not working right now, but
it's an active community.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's an active community. It's going to ask questions. People are actually eager to help here, and they help a lot. And so you can chat in here and ask questions. You can join the Discord server. You don't have to do it from here. Join the Discord server. It's really a nice community of hackers and developers. So the mixture does a lot of good for the conversation because people look at things from different directions. And one other thing is that, you know, I agree completely about the idea of hiring people and thinking about, you know, the security level in hiring. In this case, however, even if you are, you know, a trained secure developer and so forth, you might not have thought about it because if you remember in the code, you know, I don't know that you're using inner HTML, that it's dangerous. So I can always secure more than I can, but then I need to. But, you know, the key issue here is communication, I think, in this one. Because when you communicate that, when you say what you need, when people read the designs, when people communicate about the designs, then magic happens. Because then developers know, oh, right, this is dangerous. We need to think about it.
Yep. Okay, guys. Itzik, thank you very much. We'll be here next week or in 2 weeks?
Next week.
Next week.
On Tuesday. Actually, we have another one on Tuesday.
Okay.
So can't remember why Friday didn't work, but yeah, Tuesday is definitely the next one.
Okay. And meanwhile, you can, if they want to log in and to see the community version, it's wizer-ctf.com.
CTF, exactly. So you land here. Actually, you know, let's even remove the login. So you land here, and that's where you start, and then you log in if you have an account. If not, you hit create now. You put basic details, register, you get an email, you verify, then you start. And then when you want to play, just log in and you're in. You can play without logging in. So if someone doesn't want a user, they can always play as a guest. Okay. So
yeah, but then you don't get to be on the leaderboard. So it's up to you guys. But
you actually can. You can play as a guest, and as you win, you can add yourself to the leaderboard.
Cool.
But then you don't have the account, so you won't be able to see your wins, and you won't be able to see the history and all that stuff. But you can play as a guest if you're really careful about your user. But we really recommend logging in and signing up and being part of that, you know, really awesome community.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much. And until next week, thank you for joining, and see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.